I know Ralph is kind of keen on something he'd like to see really develop, and that's the process of online e-discovery education. Yes, Ralph?
Yes, indeedy. Well, I've been concerned with training my whole career. Been 30 years in the legal profession in a private law firm the whole time. And that's how you learn the law in the States. I know it's different in Europe and other parts of the world, but you go to law school to learn how to study and to learn certain basic things. And then to actually be a lawyer, to practice law, you go into a law firm. And you're taught by the more senior lawyers that have already been doing it, 10, 20 years. And it's the old apprentice program, basically. And so I've been involved in that, first as a student, first few years, and then ultimately, I made partner after 5 years. Pretty young. Back then you could make partner quicker. Now it's more like 8 to 10 years or longer. And then after that I started training lawyers in the law firms that I was in. And so I've been involved in training for 30 years, and before that 3 years in law school. And so it's an important part of my life. And at this stage, I decided that I wanted to devote as much time as possible to training. So I not only do that continually in my current law firm, Jackson Lewis, but it's not actually intergalactic, Greg. I don't know if you were confused about that. It's only in
your card, Ralph. Your card does say here Jackson Lewis Intergalactic E-Discovery Manager. So I know that the reach of Jackson Lewis is, if I remember, intergalactic. So I do that in my firm as well. But in addition to that, I was teaching law school, adjunct professor, and Barron's also professor. And so we've been working with law students, and I would spend a full day, 1 day a week, going up to law school and teaching there, and do a 3-hour class once a week. I did that for several years. And then I decided, well, I'm not reaching enough people. Life is short. There's only so much time that all of us have left here on this earth, and we move on to other parts of the galaxy. So I decided that the more effective way to do this was to create it online. And that's been my thing my whole life. I was there when the internet was born. Al Gore and I invented it. I don't know if you know that. But I have it here right now.
Yeah. So, I've been online a long time, so I decided I was going to create basically my law school class online. Persuaded the conservative institution of the law school, the deans, to go along with it. It was approved by the faculty. It's a major course, 3 credits, 50 to 150 hours of work. But that's what it takes to learn e-discovery law. It's a complicated
But it's also interactive, right? I mean, it's...
Well, yeah. More so, actually, than an American law school, which uses the Socratic method, where we scare the crap out of students and ask them questions. And Jason was a guest teacher for me a couple times. He was too nice to ask tough questions to students because he's a nice guy. But people like me, we would do it and grill them a little bit.
You didn't scare the crap out of anybody, Jason?
He doesn't like
so.
me.
Oh, okay.
So there's interactivity, but it's more of a modern interactivity, laid back, in that it's all online. And basically students answer questions that I pose to them online, same question to everybody that takes the course. And they respond with an answer, and I give them research to do and give them homework, and they respond back, and I interact with them. And I'm not the only one. I have a bunch of experts lined up that will give the, kind of the creative juices behind this, put the face on it. Because while you're online, there's a distance, we're not three-dimensional, but there's a communication and connection. I mean, where else but online are you going to be able to talk to, not just me, but I mean really the top experts in our field are going to interface with these people, and a student will have a chance to get with them. That's something we could never do before.
Are you doing this all through, I mean, it's obviously not just you, is it also being done through the e-discovery team, or just give us some...
Yes, this isn't connected with my law firm. It's
Okay.
a private venture. That's important. It's not connected through my university either. There was just limitations. I wanted to really reach out to the whole world, and the internet's a way to do it. And it allows people that are interested in learning what is the law behind this, what is this all about. And it's not just me talking. There's me on videotape for sure, and some of my flashy keynote slides that I like to do. But there's all kinds of other people that are on camera, and the writings and views of really all the top people in electronic discovery and the judges. I talk about their opinions, what the judges are thinking about. Most of the top judges are also taped giving presentations. So you get to hear from a lot of different voices, which is what I'm trying to do with the eDiscovery team, is to allow everybody to participate. And then beyond that, I'm even inviting some of the best vendors to participate as well and bring in their experts, because a lot of the top people are, not in a firm, not in the government, but they're actually in vendors and companies, consultants, and they have a lot to contribute to. So I'm inviting all of them to be part of this electronic cyber law school.
I kind of want to jump back to Jason on this, because I know Jason had recently attended the annual meeting of law schools, and one of the themes or topics was the electronic evolution of the law. So I'd like to hear your reaction to what Ralph just said.
Well, I am a big supporter of greater attention to e-discovery in law schools and any kind of training, whether it's in the real world or online. This is the future. The cohort of students that are coming out of law school are going to have to deal with electronic evidence. And why not have greater attention paid either in modules in civil procedure classes in first year, or special e-discovery courses of the type that Ralph has taught in the past at the University of Florida. There should be multiple opportunities to engage so that students have some knowledge and background, and really, I think it would benefit them for going into practice. And so in any, whether it's private sector or public sector, to have some exposure. So I'm a big proponent. Online education is certainly going to be a much bigger deal in the future. And so all efforts are good ones in this field. And so when I was in San Francisco, I think half the law school crowd said, this is a no-brainer. Of course we're going to do this as part of our law schools. The other half, well, they need to come on board. And so there's a little bit of stickiness in the profession before we get there. But I think we're making those steps. The Sedona Conference, very privileged to be a co-chair of Working Group 1. Sedona Conference has...
Working Group 1 being...
On e-discovery. And it is a collection of... Sedona Conference is a nonprofit legal think tank, and there is a great number of people in the Sedona movement that are interested in reaching out to law schools, and we've had a couple of events, and hopefully we'll have more in the future to interest the hearts and minds of students, because I really think that's where the path of the law should go. Should get students interested and involved, and think that enthusiastic about these topics, not looking at e-discovery as some sort of a drudgery of document review or a click stream that they have to go to, but to be exposed to all sorts of interesting intellectual issues that e-discovery has about it. So I'm excited for future partnering efforts for online education, for greater attention in law schools. Big supporter of all of it.
Two things I want to end on are, and you mentioned Sedona, either one of you can react to this, major changes at the top in Sedona. Do you want to comment on that, Ralph?
Well, I wrote a blog about it recently, and I don't know him, but as I said in my blog,
you're talking about the fact that
you were the new
executive.
Yeah, and pardon me, I don't remember his name either.
John Herbage, yeah.
Thank you. I haven't met him, but as I said in my blog, he must be good, or Richard Brahman wouldn't have picked him, because this is something that Richard cares about with all his heart and soul, as we all do. We're really committed to this stuff. And so if he's his selection, I have every confidence in him, and Jason's involved, and everybody else is still involved. So Richard's stepping down a little bit. I don't see as a negative thing. In fact, just to allow and ensure the future continuation of the Sedona Conference, which I think is an important contributor.
Okay. Well, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to re-engage and wish Richard all the best in his new capacity as chairman of the board, and he is still going to be extremely involved. All of us on the steering committee, Working Group 1, wish him all the best in the future, as well as working with everyone coming on board, and hopefully all the good projects that Sedona is involved with will go full speed ahead.
Ending on the following note, as far as your respective futures and what you guys have got going on, Ralph, what else is happening in your world besides online education?
Yeah, I mean, they're directly connected. I'm a writer as well as my other activities. I write, I don't know, 2,000 to 4,000, sometimes 6,000 words every weekend on electronic discovery. It's my way of sharing and giving back, and it helps me clarify my thoughts too, because this is really what I think about in professional life. And so after writing every weekend for another year, well, oops, another book is produced. And so I'm pleased to say that Wes Thompson will be publishing my 4th book. It'll be coming out in March. I'm doing the final things, picking out the book cover. Hopefully it'll get me a cool cover this year again. And for those of you who still read paper books, some of you might, or you can give them to your parents or something. That'll be coming out.
Is there a Kindle edition?
Actually, I own the Kindle edition, but so yeah, I'm still writing paper books too, because a lot of the legal profession, if it's not in paper, it's not real, which is part of the problem, but that's another story. So I'll look for that coming up in March and April through Wes Thompson. And actually, I just found out I made the bestseller list for my last one, so e-discovery is still a hot topic among people who buy paper books.
What's the title?
I think it's called Introduction. I forget. I have after 4th. I think it's called
you're right.
Electronic.
You're right. So well.
No, that's my new one. It's called
never know.
Adventures in
Right.
Electronic Discovery. My prior one is Electronic Discovery. You got to say Electronic Discovery to tell people what it's about. So yeah, just check out my name, and you should be able to get it. It's at Amazon too.
We'll try to give you a link later in the post. Jason, what do you have coming up as far as conferences and activities?
Well, I think the conference I mentioned is really an important one, which is June 6th in Pittsburgh, part of this ICALE, International Conference of AI and Law. We're going to do this DESI 4 workshop, and that's really key. I'm involved in lots of Sedona related activities. There's a San Diego program getting ahead of the discovery curve in March. We have our mid-year in April. We have later this year in Austin in October. I invite everyone watching to think about joining Working Group 1 in the Sedona Conference and coming to the annual meeting in October. It's really a great place to network and to be in the same place with a couple of hundred other people who really passionately care about moving the path of the law forward on e-discovery.
Jason, Ralph, I really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. This is Greg Bufithis, Project Counsel, kind of wrapping up LegalTech here in New York. Thanks for joining us.